Hello, this is Portland Math Tutor, Mr. Laiche speaking with you today. Today we are going to derive the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. The famous quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Now there are many ways to memorize this. You could learn a song. Your teacher might have taught you a fancy mnemonic to memorize the quadratic formula. However, my philosophy is that it's always better to derive the formulas from their origin, so you know where they come from. You have a better understanding of just have a better general understanding of how they work and where they come from. So we are going to start off with the standard form of quadratic equation. So what we're going to do is complete the square. Alright, so the steps we're going to go through, you might already know how to complete the square. If you do, that's great. If you don't, you can watch another video on completing the square. But today we are going to, I'll show you all the steps and we'll talk about it, but going in detail and going through multiple examples, there'll be other videos that you can watch to brush up on that. So to complete the square, we need a must equal 1 and c needs to equal b over 2a squared. Okay, so how we're going to get that is we're going to first divide everything by a so that our leading coefficient is a 1. If we divide everything by a, we're going to have x squared plus b over a x plus c over a equals 0. Okay, that's great. A equals 1, so we can check off that. We've done that. All right. Now we need c to be equal to b over 2a squared. All right. Now to get that set up, we're going to need to do a couple things here. We're going to need to get rid of c over a. I'm just going to subtract that to both sides, from both sides. Be left with x squared plus b over a x. I'm going to leave a little bit of space here because I know that I'm going to be adding in this term, b over 2a squared. And we'll do that now. B over 2a squared. We add it to the left. We're going to have to add it to the right as well. Okay, excellent. All right, moving along. So now that we have we added b over 2a squared, now we know the left side is what's called a perfect square. This whole thing is a perfect square. How that's going to factor is as such: x plus b over 2a times x plus b over 2a. Now we can check that by expanding this on the left here. We've got our first term is going to be x squared. Second term would be x times b over 2a, b over 2a x. Our third term is going to be another b over 2a x, and our last term is going to be b over 2a squared. Well, we know that b over 2a plus b over 2a equals 2b over 2a. Well, that just equals b over a. Okay, that is excellent. So let's come back and simplify this. We got x squared plus b over a x plus b over 2a squared. And yes, that is in fact the same as what we started with. So that is how we factor this. Okay, so I'm just going to write that as a single binomial squared. We're going to end up with x plus b over 2a squared. On the right side of our equation, we've got negative c over a plus, and I'm going to expand this term to be b squared over 4a squared. Great, we are cooking. Okay. On the left side, I'm just going to leave that as is. And on the right side, I need common denominators. So what do I need to multiply by so that I have a common denominator? So right here, well, I need to multiply by 4a on top and bottom on the first term. That's going to give me negative 4ac on top and 4a squared on bottom. Second term stays the same. Well, now I'm just going to go in and combine these terms, or combine these fractions. To add fractions, the numerators stay the same. It's going to be negative 4ac plus b squared, and the numerators are added and the denominators stay the same. So you should be starting to see that this is getting pretty close to what we're looking for here, or pretty close to the quadratic formula. On the left side, I have a squared term. To undo that square, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Get x plus b over 2a. Now I'm going to take the square root of all of this. Negative 4ac plus b squared over 4a squared. This is the whole fraction. Okay. Now, since we're taking a square root, we really need to take the positive negative square root. That's going to give us both of our roots and the solutions to our quadratic formula. Okay. Well, the left is going to stay the same on this step. The right, I know that the top is not a perfect square. Cannot take the square root of negative 4ac plus b squared. The denominator, however, is 4, which is a perfect square, and a squared, which is a perfect square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the numerator in the square root, but I'm going to write the b squared first. It's more typical to have b squared minus 4ac in the quadratic formula. I don't know why, but people like it that way. Well, I do know why. It's because b is the highest degree term, but that's just traditional to have it in that order. So I'm going to take the square root of the denominator. That's going to give me 2a. Well, at this point, you should be really happy because you see that we've got common denominators on the left and on the right. So if I subtract b over 2a from both sides, oh boy, I'm going to be able to combine terms. Okay, so on the left, I'm just going to have x, and on the right, Well, again, it's traditional to have that the b in front, the b negative b in front. So I'm going to write that negative b over 2a in front, and then we have plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, well, we just have to combine like terms at this point, and we get x equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, that was a derivation of the quadratic formula. Good job.